Hi, welcome back to Wallflowers. So today I've been thinking a lot about the indications, the markers on food that we're seeing appear more and more, and it's actually indicating the carbon footprint of each individual food item. Without surprise, meat is exceedingly high. So meat is always indicated on these carbon footprint markers as very high, and it's red. So sometimes they're marked A, B, C, D up to E. A is acceptable, and then it gets more and more severe to high risk, which is red. So you get A, B, C, D, E, or you get a colour scheme. So dark green is equal to A, which is where they're trying to manoeuvre us to have that diet, which mainly consists of very vegan, ultimately vegetarian, insect food, food that's been manufactured in labs, such as manufactured meat, etc. Then we have an orange, then we have a light green. So dark green is primarily what they want us to eat. Light green is acceptable. Then we have an orange, which is classed as medium. Now a yellow, that's classed as medium. Then we have an orange, which starts to be high. And then we've got red, which is very high. Sometimes it's indicated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it can either be A, B, C, D, E, dark green, light green, yellow, orange, red, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or just a number. So lots of people survive on a vegan diet, but during my lifetime, anyone that I've known has been totally vegan at some point has had to resort, through illness, through lack of energy, anemia, etc., to resort to bone broth, to resort to some animal substance to get them back on an even keel. And then yes, they've carried on the vegan diet, but when they've got exceedingly ill, they've resorted to animal products to get them well. There are a lot of insect foods at the moment, and they're not telling us straight away these foods are insect foods. A lot of bread in our shop at the moment has got a lot of insect content in them. I know we were eating Robert's bread for quite a while. My husband really took a shine to it, and one day someone informed me it's got lots of insects in it, and I started to read the ingredients and we stopped buying it completely. So that was one brand I was totally aware of, because it was something we were starting to eat more and more increasingly. Now, the shell of an insect is called a chit, and when we eat it and digest it, it's not fully digestible. Now a lot of people, including myself, we eat a lot of processed food. We find it more affordable, it's quicker, we've been acquired that way for our taste buds. We want quick, simple, easy food. But so long as we have the main stock of real food in the background, meat, fish, wholesome vegetables, etc., we seem to be okay. But if we're going to take that proper, digestible, real protein, real sustenance food away because for some reason we're not allowed as much of it, which I'll go into further in a moment, we are going to become more and more sick. People are already suffering with indigestion issues. I personally suffer with some indigestion issues. And if we're going to be dependent on a total vegan, I mean, eating insects isn't vegan, but if you're going to eat an insect diet, you're going to have digestion problems. You know, not a lot of research has been put into this manufactured meat diet, living off an insect diet. No research realistically has gone into how the human body is going to function on that from a child up to adults, and how that's going to affect them, or from adults now for the rest of their lives, how that's going to affect them. So we don't know the effects, but we do know already there are digestion issues with insect food. Now, a short while ago I did a video on the digital wallet. If you haven't seen it, please go back and watch it. For these days, suit myself, it's a good video. So basically, more and more we're becoming a cashless society, or we're being imposed on becoming a cashless society, and everything is triggered. All our data is there. Everything is done on the credit cards. Everything in store is done on apps, and you get a discount if you have an app for this store, an app for that store. You get discounts. That's called a digital wallet. That framework of that information based on you in a digital world is your digital wallet. And they've got it now with our food, because we've joined all these apps. We're paying for it on the credit cards, and they're seeing what types of food we're buying. And they're kind of somewhat guiding us to these other alternative foods. So when you're getting the higher discount on these shop apps, you're getting the higher discounts on their pre-packaged food, on their pre-packaged, pre-chopped vegetables, on all numerous different things, but not on your good quality red meat, not on your steak, not on your... There might be the odd one that gives you some cheaper formatted chicken, but you're not getting it on beef, you're not getting it on your lamb, you're not getting it on sustainable meats. So they're somewhat kind of guiding you to where they want you to shop and what they want you to buy, because it's all programmed. So once the digital wallet comes in completely, and we know it's going to happen with food, because they're not just putting these indications on our food. It starts off, we'll give you this information, but they're not paying all this vast amount of money to have it all put on, all these systems worked out, put in place for it to go nowhere, just to give you a little bit of information to help you. There's always a method in the madness where this is going. And in my opinion, and in many other people's opinion, this is linked up to the digital wallet. Now, it's not in place at the moment, but if you look at Paris agreements and different things, there's always suggestions. And a suggestion for in Europe, for our carbon footprint allowance is to be approximately 2.2 points per day, which works out at something like 66 points a month. Now, when we take a look at these carbon footprint point system on individual things, chicken, mincemeat, steaks, there's actually a prime example of a sandwich. I'm not sure, I think it's a bacon sandwich, I'm not sure. The point on that is 8.1. Well, obviously, that's over 3 times of your daily allowance to have that one sandwich. So if you're out at work and you're used to going and grabbing a sandwich for your lunch, you won't be able to have that bacon, BLT, whatever it is that you fancied, because it's now become 8.1 points. You're only actually allowed 2.2. And if you took that against your monthly allowance, you're literally going to have 4 or 5 of those per month. And then what do you do for the rest of your allowance? It's crazy. So I don't know if you can combine your family total. If I'm the woman of the house where I am here and I do our family weekly shop, am I allowed to put all 3 together and then go and do the shop based on 3 people? Or will each individual person have to go and do their shop for their allowance because it's only their digital wallet that's countable? I don't know. There are implications. So if they're starting off now just with meats and basic grocery products, it soon will be everything. It will be your cleaning agents, it will be your medications, it will be petrol, fuel, it will be everything. And you'll only be allowed, you know, it's not just meat it affects. There's simple things like radishes. Now, yeah, radishes are easy to grow. You can grow them in your own back garden and you can have quite a few harvests within one season of radishes. But they're saying now, because of the soil burnout of how you grow radishes, that they've now become a medium carbon footprint point score. So simple things like getting your whole vegetables, which a radish would count as a whole vegetable, that's all severely point scored. So that will come off your monthly quota. So if you think you'd go and get a bag each week of lettuce, radish, your carrots, whatever it is, they're saying it's only medium sustainable because of the power and the resources it's taken out of the soil to grow them. It's crazy. It's crazy. Now this sustainability that they keep talking to us about, it's not sustaining us, it's not sustaining our health, as I've just discussed with the digestion issues, with eating insect food or not having the meals we've had for centuries and centuries of being able to eat meat, whole vegetables, fish, whatever it is we had in our diet. Now we're going to have to eat cheap and affordable, that's sustainable to the manufacturer, to the government decisions. It's sustainable to them, but is it sustainable to our human body? We don't know, because there's been no checks, just like previous forms of medication that we were asked to take. We don't know if it's sustainable to the human body because there has not been any real research. Nobody is existing off a diet of very low maintenance, cheap, pre-packed vegetables, manufactured meat and an insect diet. No one is functioning on that, and no one has done it long term enough for us to get viable research results from it to say these are the effects, positive or negative. But let's do it en masse, probably starting with Europe and then spreading it out to the rest of the world. And what we're guinea pigs now. What I'm doing more and more is when I do my food initiative shops, as always, I look for a bulk buy in meat. And if I can find a good meat bulk buy, I'll either freeze it, and I know we're using it bit by bit as we go along, but now I know this is coming closer and closer and will soon be in play. I will be canning a lot more meat, canning a lot more fish, and making sure that the vegetables, I don't buy pre-packed, pre-prepared anyway, vegetables. The odd time I do with a salad, but not really with proper vegetables. So I'll be buying whole foods as much as possible. Yes, I'll still be shopping in the food initiative because it's the only way that I find sustainable financially. But I'll be looking for more and more meat. I will be preserving more. I will be canning more. I still will be freezing. I will be looking at dehydrating a little bit more and how to preserve and keep some back. I haven't got a lot of space, so it's not going to be 10, 20 years stock, etc. But hopefully somewhere along the line this can be stopped. I'd like to think so. I'd like to think the butchers themselves will stand up and say they're losing too much custom. The farmers are just losing so much custom because they've just run them dry. They've sold everything that the farmers produce for next to nothing. Now they're going to cut the cows out completely as well. Now they're going to cut the animal livestock completely because it's gone less and less and less. They get pennies for the vegetables, they get pennies for the milk. They've already basically near enough eradicated farmers. Most farmers are in debt. Most farmers are fighting to survive. The butchers are next. What about the supermarkets? The supermarkets are making a hefty living from their meat products, their fish products, their animal products. And once they start to cut down, what are these conglomerates of supermarkets going to do? Hopefully people stand up, hopefully it gets stopped. But I urge you, please, if you're not totally vegan already, preserve some meat. Fill your freezers if you can and try and keep some in reserve if you can. Or if you don't, try and learn. You know, it's about £140 to buy a canner, and that's off at places like Amazon. In the UK, they're few and far between. We don't find them in second-hand shops, etc. But £140 is an investment to actually preserve some real food, because what's coming isn't real. What's coming isn't sustainable for our human body. Have you been looking at these markers on the food? Have you actually thought, why are they telling us this? Why are they showing us this? Where's this leading to? Tell me your thoughts and what you're doing. How are you going to preserve food if it's something different to how I've mentioned? Are you bulk buying already? I know a couple of my American friends go in halves, whether it's a pig, a deer, etc. And they have a butcher slice it down and do it in the portions that they need, and then they'll take a half or a quarter each and they sustain themselves that way, and it's much, much cheaper. If something was available like that to me right now, I'd be in. I'd say, yeah, I want my share. I'd like half a pig, half a deer, and I'll have a go. Yeah, definitely. It's not something I've been made aware of that we've got in our area, and I know I couldn't afford a full one. Okay, just food for thought. Please share your thoughts with me and let me know. You know, when we have these conversations in the comments or on the live streams, we're helping each other because there'll be things that I haven't thought of, you know. And this isn't fear mongering, this is just things that are actually happening in the background, you know, these things. It's not even in the background, it's in our face, it's on our food now, you know, we can actually see that they've done those stages. They're already in the background, moving on way past that to instill the wally. Is 2026 the year it happens? And we're queuing up, and once we've spent them 66 points for the month, that's us. And we're living off whatever's left and eating non-sustainable foods. Crazy. Okay, thank you so much for joining me today. Please take care. Remember you're loved. I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.